Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today our topic is about verb. A verb is a word that conveys an action, a state of being, or an occurrence. It is used to say something about some person, place, or thing. And the verb comes from the Latin word verbum. It is so called because it is the most important word in a sentence. For example, the boy kicks the football. The boys laugh loudly. In this sentence, the action denoted by the verb kicks passes over from the doer or subject boy to some object football. The verb kicks is therefore called transitive verb, and transitive means passing over. In the second sentence, the boy laughs loudly. The action denoted by the verb laughs stops with the doer or subject boy. It does not passes over to an object. The verb laughs is therefore called an intransitive verb. Intransitive means not passing over. So the verb is a word that tells or asserts something about a person or thing. Verb shows an action in the sentence. There are different types of verb, finite verb and non-finite verbs. And finite verbs are divided into three different kinds: principal verbs, linking verbs, auxiliary verb or main verb. And non-finite verbs divided into three different types: infinitive and participles and gerund. A finite verb shows agreement with the subject and is marked for tense. Finite forms of the verb love. I love prayers. She loves prayers. And Pope loved prayers. Finite verbs basically are those which change according to the number, the person, and the tense of the subjects. For example, I want to go, he wants to go, and they want to go. Thus, Tyra wanted to go. We see that want is a finite verb which change with the change of the number, person, and tense. And now we can explain non-finite verbs. Verbs that are not limited by the tense, person, or number are called non-finite verbs. They are not governed by a subject and hence do not change their form with the person or the number. Neither do they change with changes in its tense. For example, teaching is her passion. And finite verbs and non-finite finite verbs are those which change according to the number, person, or tense, and non-finite verbs are those verbs which do not change according to the number, person, and the tense of the subjects. There are different kinds of verbs: action verbs, auxiliary verbs, transitive verbs, intransitive verbs, modal verbs, phrasal verbs, irregular verbs, regular verbs, finite verbs, and infinite verbs. Action verbs are express specific action. For example, run, dance, slides. Auxiliary verbs used together with the main verb to show the verb's tense or to form a question or negative. For example, would and do. And transitive verbs express doable activities. Intransitive verbs, action verbs that always express doable activities but there is no direct object. For example, walk and laugh. And modal verbs that are used to express abilities, possibilities, and permission. For example, can, may, should. And phrasal verbs, these are not single word but combination of the words used together to take on a different meaning to that of the original verb. For example, run out and go away. Irregular verbs are those that don't take on the regular spelling patterns of past simple and past participle. For example, eat, think, bring. The next regular verbs, verbs that's past second form, a verb in past participle third form is made by adding d or ed is called regular verb. For example, walk, walked, walked. And finite verbs are verbs which can change their form according to the subject. It defines the time and the subject. It tells you who is doing the action and when it is being done. For example, eat and eats. Infinite verbs A verb which has to before it, it shows infinite action when is used at the beginning of the sentence. To see is to believe. Here there are three main verbs, linking verbs and auxiliary verbs. Main verbs show action, and linking verbs they link the subject with a noun or an adjective. And auxiliary verbs they tell us about the tense and voice of the main verb. For example, he threw a stone at the car. Threw is the main verb in this sentence. Mary water the plants regularly, and water is the main verb in this sentence. It show action. And linking verbs, my mother is a doctor, uh, is used in this sentence as a linking verb. And you look exhausted, and look is used linking verb in this sentence. Auxiliary verbs, she was jogging in the park. Was tell us about the voice of the main verb. And he has been walking the dog has is also used as an auxiliary verb. Next, infinitive participle and gerund are the subtypes of infinitive verbs. What exactly are the verbal? A gerund. Gerund is is a verbal that ends in ing and function as a noun. Writing a good essay takes effort. And in infinitive is a to plus verbal that function as a noun, adjective or adverb. To graduate from college takes time, and this is called infinitive. And a participle is a verbal used as an adjective, and it often ends in ing, present, or ed in past. Shaking with anger, Gloria turned away from her cheating boyfriend Carlos, and shaken with fear, Edie walked away from the wrecked car. Participles are the structures that are actually made from verbs but characterize them by showing any situation, object, or person. There are three types of participle: present participle, past participle, and perfect participle. Present participle is the base form of verb ending with ing, and past participle usually ending with the ed, d, t, en, or n. And perfect participle usually ending on en or en, having plus third form of the verb used in participle. Thank you so much. अल्लाह हाफिज़. अपना ख्याल रखें और अपने से जुड़े अपने रिश्तों का ख्याल रखें और खुशियाँ बांटें. अल्लाह ताला आप सबको सलामत रखे. अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आए तो इसको लाइक करें और इसको चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें. मज़ीद वीडियोज़ के लिए जुड़े रहें. अल्लाह हाफिज़.